Interestingly enough, I came to the Hellboy universe via the movies rather than the comics. On a whim, I rented the first DVD from my local library, thus starting my love-hate relationship with the films. On the one hand, the movies are well done, entertaining, and surprisingly self-aware. On the other hand, each movie features a character so spectacularly annoying it can ruin the experience. Both movies have roots, at the very least, in the comics. The first film, in particular, has the usual suspects, i.e. Rasputin, Ilsa, and Cronin, dead set on having Hellboy start the apocalypse. Hellboy is aided by Abe, the fishman I mentioned in the first episode, and a new character known as John Myers, who serves as an entry point for the story, allowing the viewer to get inside the world of the BPRD, Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, and its many inhabitants. Also added is a romantic relationship between Liz and Hellboy, which, while not canon, I find to be well done and necessary to establish relationships that are so lacking in the comics. In my previous episode, I also mentioned that Cronin gets a personality expansion in the film. The movie-verse version is not just a scientist. He's also a dangerous fighter and a skilled surgeon who enjoys augmenting himself with various clockwork mechanisms, thus meaning that he can wind himself up for maximum efficiency, turning himself into an ersatz toy with murder on its mind. The second movie, on the other hand, is more independent of the comics, in that while Hellboy has faced the world of fairy before, he's never been in this close of contact with it. The basic plot features Nuada, an elf prince who's determined to reclaim the world for his people via the use of the Golden Army, a fleet of magically powered robots with Swiss Army blade functions in their hands. To activate them, however, he requires a magical crown, which has been split in 3 pieces. Hellboy and company have to prevent him from getting said pieces, even as Hellboy and Liz struggle as a couple, and Abe falls in love for the first time. The second movie also features the addition of Johann Kraus, a man who was turned into ectoplasm when a seance he was holding to contact his dead wife went wrong, who is called in to keep the headstrong Hellboy under control. Now, I have to say that I like both movies. They're enjoyable and different from your average fantasy romp, and they don't sacrifice humor in the name of being more serious, most of the time. The costumes and appearance is top-notch, with elaborate makeup for some of the characters, such as the Angel of Death in the second film. I do, however, take umbrage with 2 characters in the movies, so stand by while I ready my cannons and blow this dense duo to smithereens. Ilsa is the bugaboo of the first movie. In the comics, Ilsa Hopstein is a well-rounded villain. She quotes William Blake, reveres Rasputin as her master, suffers guilt for causing the death of her vampire lover, and can kick your ass. The movie version, on the other hand, is summarily brain-dead. She prances around in either her SS uniform or else in clothes that warrant her being hauled off by the fashion police. With her perfect hair and perfect makeup, oohing and eyeing over everything that comes out of Rasputin's mouth and making orgasm faces whenever he touches her. She's equal parts obnoxious and creepy, and by the time she gets eaten by a monster in the end of the movie, I was ready to shake the thing's tentacle for doing her in. Her one redeeming feature is that she doesn't affect the storyline all that much and causes no plot holes. Her irritating behavior, while enough to make me want to smack her upside the head with one of her own jackboots, is more on par with the irritation caused by Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars Episode 1. A phenomenal pain, but mostly harmless. Would that I could say the same for the second character in this duo. Said character is Nuada's twin sister, and she causes more problems than she even begins to solve. For starters, there's the fact that Nuada and Nuala are mystically connected, meaning that if you hurt one, you hurt the other, as well as allowing one to see through the other's eyes and home in on the other if separated. Nuala knows this, but even so, she insists on accompanying the piece of the crown that she's guarding into the BPRD, thus acting as a gigantic spy cam with legs that tells her brother where the crown piece is and allows him to break into a secure government building. If she'd just given the piece up to the BPRD, Nuada would have had a considerably harder time finding it. Even more damning, however, is the end scene of the movie. Now, before I go into it, I warn you that spoilers abound here, so those that want out, fast forward now. To continue, at the end of the movie, Hellboy has beaten Nuada in combat but refused to kill him, thus sparing Nuala, who Abe has fallen in love with. Hellboy then turns his back to rejoin his friends, even as Nuada slowly gets to his feet, draws what appears to be a letter opener, and advances on Hellboy et tu Brute style. To prevent Nuada from killing him, however, Nuala stabs herself in the chest, thus killing herself and her brother and breaking Abe's heart. Now, let's recap a few points. First, earlier in the movie, Hellboy was stabbed in the chest by Nuada, right over the heart, with a heavy-duty spearhead, and survived it. He should be able to endure a knife in the right shoulder, since that's what Nuada would have hit if he'd stabbed Hellboy. Second, Nuada is moving very slowly, and Hellboy's companions have clearly spotted him way before he's close enough to stab anything. Third, why did Nuala have to stab herself? If Nuada feels everything she feels, why didn't she just poke herself in the eye, or, for more extreme pain, hit herself in the groin? Why was suicide the only way to stop Nuada? Basically, what all this adds up to is a character so moronic that she's barely palatable, something that isn't helped by her hothouse flower personality and her utter lack of any backbone of her own. There could have been plenty of ways to kill Nuala without giving him a sister, and there could have been many ways to make Nuala more entertaining and intelligent of a character. And furthermore, had Nuada been spared, he could have been turned into a BPRD member, thus making him the hottest eligible male elf to appear on the screen since Legolas. No, I do not have a crush. What are you talking about? What all this basically has led me to conclude is that Blondes and Hellboy movies are going to be dumb as dirt, and given that there are suggestions that there will be a third movie that features a brainwashed angel, what with the fact that angels are quite often blonde, I have a sneaking suspicion that I know who will all want to beat the stupid out of when and if the next film gets made. That's it for this episode. My next episode will come out this Halloween, so tune in this Saturday to hear me assess Hellboy and other media. Ta!